And we're back with Brooke and myself on Sunday morning at 11:30, talking about Dr. Mao Shing Ni's latest book, The Live Your Ultimate Life. And Brooke and I have been going over this for a couple months, just going through the pages, taking some of the advice, and learning more about the five element personalities. The idea is that you take a little test that he has online to find out which of the personalities you have, and then the book goes through the various strengths and weaknesses, things to look at for the various personality types. And we're kind of towards the end of his chapters today. And one of the chapters, or one of the sections, is called "You Have the Power to Be Happy." And Dr. Mao says, to take joy in everyday life is a blessing that is available to all. Requires a strong desire and willingness to change in order to create the joy you want. If you are unhappy, choose to be otherwise. You have that power because no one can make you unhappy. Only you determine how you feel. Commit to infusing your life in that of others with joy.
So much easier said than done.
Yeah, for the last several months or so, I've been taking an online course through Coursera. Um, the particular course I was doing was, I can't remember the exact title of it, but it's to do with how to find happiness. And in the last decades or so, the scholars have been able to kind of figure out what contributes to happiness in scholarly fashion. They do studies and so forth. So this particular one I'm doing is a professor. He's from India, but he's a professor at some college here or university here. I can't remember which. And so it's like a 6-week course in happiness. Now, coincidentally or not, the professor has pointed out through his course that, well, in fact, right at the very beginning, he says you don't want to pursue happiness, even though our Bill of Rights or Constitution or something says we're the
Yeah.
pursuit of happiness. Well, he says that instead of pursuing happiness, you should choose happiness.
Yes, yes, I agree.
And that's kind of like what Dr. Mao is saying. If you are unhappy, choose to be otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so the distinction, at least to what I could get out of it, is if you're pursuing something, you may be attached to that, or you may be trying too hard or doing weird things to
Well,
get to that point.
yeah, and you're looking for happiness outside of yourself. I've most certainly struggled with this over the last year, and I have very much found this power. Of course, it doesn't always, I guess I struggle with the balance of holding on to it, maybe, or um, maybe I give myself a harder time when I'm struggling. Do you know what I mean? Um, but yeah, no, I completely agree. You definitely have to have a more positive outlook. Does that, versus, just the word finding happiness. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and as this course has gone on, the professor is indicating it's not as if you don't want to have any goals, because goals are fine, and Dr. Bow's been
Yes.
talking about goals. You do not want to become attached to them or pursue them in an unhealthy manner.
Yes. Yeah.
So, likewise with happiness, your goal may well be happiness, but you don't want to be chasing it.
Yes. Yeah. I guess yours and my element, our water elements are better situated with that, where, yes, we flow with what's coming and going, our goals and careers, and always trying to find that, I guess, that
Right.
peace, that peace. I always find peace and happiness kind of equate with each other. I don't know if that other people find that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sure.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
No, so
Yeah, why don't we go ahead to the next page, Brooke? It talks about love is fundamental to all life, and you want to go over that one?
This is my favorite subject.
Okay,
To love and be loved is crucial because love is fundamental to all life. It starts with the benevolent love from the universal divine or God. This love is expressed through maternal love towards children and the goodness of human beings can feel towards one another, as well as to all living and non living things. Love's alchemy brings about the attraction between two people that inspires them to come together and form a family. The building block of the eternal universe, it is also the feeling that causes people to grow and share in community, supporting one another in life. I am a true believer that love is the most powerful thing in the universe and beyond the universe.
sure, yeah. And it's interesting too that he points out feeling goodness for living and non-living things. So that, of
Yes.
course, would
Yes.
pertain to the environment,
Yep.
um, even rocks or other. I'm sorry, I
Very
was
true.
trying to think of non-living things.
Well,
Most
see,
things we
the
see
funny
are,
thing is,
trees are living.
yeah, I mean, actually, the whole Earth, some people consider all of the Earth living things. So yes, even rocks, or
Yeah,
even, you know what, even like our furniture and our houses, things that we've built. I guess we would consider not living things, but we need to, treasure them and take care of them. Yep.
yeah. Yeah, that was interesting because when I was trying to think of non-living things, I immediately was going outside in nature to find non-living things. I didn't even think of manufactured things, which
Yeah,
of
yeah.
course
I'm
would be
thinking of like,
non-living.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So my mind was caught in
Oh
the
no, no.
outside world.
That was the first thing I went to, and then I thought, no, 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 what about things we make that would be considered kind of dead and
Yeah, very good. Okay, his next page, he talks about true freedom without limits.
that's hard too.
Yeah, and this, in a way, ties in with the last subject, love, as it turns out. So he says, freedom is something taken for granted in the developed countries of the world. Because here in the United States or Canada and
Hmm.
Europe, we kind of you can't really comprehend not being free.
Yeah.
Unless you're watching the news, and then you get a big sense that there's a lot of people who have a lot of restrictions, and in many cases, so many restrictions they
Uh
flee the
oh.
country, which is happening.
Oh, your voice went out.
Okay, okay. If I'm still messing up on the audio, go ahead and go over that page if you can.
Oh, sure, sure. No, I completely agree. Freedom is very difficult for some of us to understand. It says freedom is something taken for granted, just as we said. The basic freedoms to think, speak, and be are to be valued and preserved as they allow us to develop as unique individuals, collectively making up the diverse world in which we live. Cultivate in your body freedom from illness, in your mind, freedom from prejudice, and your spirit, freedom from the bondage of cults and fundamentalism. Then you will taste true freedom without limit. I love how he brings freedom into the personal sect, and not just how, especially as Americans, we're constantly talking about freedom of speech and freedom. We kind of, again, go outside of our bodies and not look at ourselves.
Yeah, and of course he says, in your mind, freedom from prejudice, and
Yep.
of course that contributes to a lot of the strife all over the world, if not in our own um,
No, it's so true.
neighborhood as well.
Yeah.
So, and that's a tough one, um, because we're kind of wired to be tribal or family oriented. So, over the millions of years, it's not easy to accept an outsider,
Yeah.
and so our minds have to gain that freedom.
We can
Okay,
even
is it?
take that one step further, and we're prejudiced even against our family members. It's almost as if we're wired to not accept anyone outside of ourselves. If someone does something differently than ourselves, or that someone is that we're used to someone acting in a certain way, we just assume they're going to be in another way. That's something I've been dealing with. I
Yeah,
have prejudice against people that encircle me in my life, and I've tried to stop and let them react and not just assume how they're going to react. You know what I mean?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, last night I watched a movie called The Pony Boy. It was about a couple that had an autistic child, and they were doing everything they could to overcome that for the child.
Yeah.
And so you could see they had in their mind, well, we want our child to become, quote, normal or,
Exactly.
whatever. So they were doing all kinds of things. And as it happened, they went to Mongolia,
Ooh.
where they have shamans, and they pointed out that apparently Mongolia is one of the only or few countries that shamanism is the national religion.
Oh
So
wow.
anyway, they went to visit some shamans, and Mongolia was the first country to ride horses. So they're famous for horse riding,
Oh
and the
yeah.
the boy loved horses. So on this journey, you could see how, in a sense, the parents' prejudices were kind of slowly being weaned away because they wanted the best for the boy, and they thought, well, if we can get him to do this and do this and do this, when maybe that's not what's in the cards for that
No,
particular boy.
absolutely. Definitely.
Yeah. So you could see some progress in the little boy and progress in the parents as the film moved on. So it's pretty
That
interesting.
I've got to watch that. I love that. I love that concept.
Okay, I'll go ahead to the next page and let me know if the audio starts messing up.
Okay.
Um, Goodwill is nutrition for the soul. Another basic attribute is prosperity, and this is meant in both material and non-material sense. Like we said, he says, material goods are necessary for a comfortable and secure life, and it is right to be motivated to work hard in exchange for decent living. Being creative and productive benefits you and others. We also need intangible property or goodwill. Accumulating goodwill is part of human nature. Goodwill is like nutrition for the soul. The more you accrue, the more content you become.
Yep.
Yeah, now maybe you can clear up for me because I'm not exactly sure what his meaning of the goodwill is. What do you think?
What Okay, so um I guess I look at it as, instead of using the word goodwill, just maybe being, I'm trying to think, like optimistic. Think I'm a person who tends to see the good in the world around me. I'm not Oh, there we go. I'm not pessimistic, and I feel like giving goodwill and seeing goodwill is just such a healthy state of being, and I think you accumulate more because of that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, that's just the
Uh,
way I kind of take it.
yeah, I was thinking in business, you have the assets of a company, the literal buildings and equipment and goods,
Yes.
and then when you're selling it, you can also attribute a value to the goodwill, they call it, which is kind of
Okay.
like the company's name, so the reputation. So maybe that's the sense you could be thought of too, as your reputation. Uh, so you obviously work on your creativity and productivity in your work to create material prosperity, but then at the same time you're creating this good name for yourself.
Yes.
That
Oh, like the fame in feng shui. See, my brain, I don't think in like the business world like that. But no, I think you're right on. I didn't even think about it that way.
Yeah. So I think I was mentioning last week maybe about sometimes our we won't be known by our words necessarily, but by our deeds. So that might be a case where, in the end, people remember us for who we are and what kind of person we were, which is
Yes.
the intangible thing. So you can't say, well, gee, that guy's a millionaire. How was he to be around? Well, he was worth, $5.95. You can't really put a number on the person as a person.
Yes,
And so that
absolutely.
might be the sense of goodwill, the name that you leave behind, or that you use.
No, that's very true. I'm actually that's it's so funny because, like I said, I'm just now learn studying feng shui, and that's exactly what the fame center of feng shui is supposed to be. Like, you, who you are, what, how people see you, how you see yourself. So yeah, that, you know, no, definitely.
Yeah, tell me a little more about the feng shui idea on that again, just to refresh me. Because I'm thinking in feng shui is more the material thing where you move the furniture here, put a mirror here, put a water here, and
Yeah.
you probably are more in tune with the other aspect that you seem to be talking about.
So yeah, feng shui, I used to think the same thing, that feng shui was just about energy in like our environment. So like how we, put things around us, how we designed things, having the elements, around us to help that energy flow. But I'm reading this book that was actually referred to me through Infinici, the Infinici people, and the College of Tao, because I was asking for one. And it really talks about the core root of feng shui, which is, of course, energy. But you have to, energy, as you know, is inside our bodies, inside our lives, in our cars, everywhere. And so it talks about our health as a person in feng shui. And then, of course, how to look out at our environment once we look within ourselves, and how to help our environments mirror what we want and who we are. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It
Hmm.
is so complex. Just as complex as the I Ching. I feel like I've got months of studying in this one little book, and I have learned so much.
Yeah. What's the name of that book? Do you remember that you're talking about?
Here, I have it right here. I don't know if you can see it, but this is the book.
Oh yeah. Okay. Feng Shui.
Feng
Shui.
Shui and
Yeah.
Health, the Anatomy of a Home, using Feng Shui to disarm illnesses, accelerate recovery, and create optimal health. And it's by Nancy Santo Pietro, Pietro. And she actually gives you homework in this book.
Uh
She
huh.
really, really forces you to look inside yourself, do activities. It's so funny. She mentions, I think I'm maybe only halfway through the book, and she has mentioned in here 4 times that you must draw a plan of your room and of your home. And she, each couple chapters, she goes, "Have you drawn your plan yet? Because I know there's some of you that haven't." Um, and no, I've even cried working on some of these homework assignments, really digging deep. And yeah, there's a chapter in here that talks about all the different guas. So like how there's a chart that shows you where all the areas in your home are. So where your fame, spirituality, love and relationships, family, all of that. And that's where I was just learning about the fame. And of course, I look at fame and I see negativity. But of course, she helps show how the fame part is just as essential, and has its good qualities too. So it's really helped tear down some of those, as we were talking about, the blockages and the prejudices that we hold.
Uh huh. Yeah, I'll have to look that up. Sounds pretty
Yeah.
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Why don't we wrap up this session today? And
Sorry. I didn't mean to keep talking.
Well, no, that was fine. In fact, it kind of gave me an idea. Maybe that's something we could talk about in future sessions about feng shui, especially since you're moving in a new place and you might give us some tips or observations on what you're doing in your new location
That would
and
be
see.
awesome. I was sad. I didn't know if I'd ever talk to you again after that we finished this book.
Yeah, so that would be good thing maybe, especially like I say during the circumstances that you may be using that, in fact, in your life from day to day as you're moving things around.
I am.
Uh, yeah, okay. All right, let's close out this session, then we'll look forward to seeing you next Sunday morning at 11:30, and we'll talk about some feng shui and how you're able to adapt it and tips that you can give us folks that haven't used it as much as you have. And although in my neighborhood, our houses are on a circle,
Yep.
and there's an entrance that comes obviously straight into the circle, and there's a house right at the end of that circle.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for my basic feng shui knowledge, I know you probably do not want to be at the house where the traffic is coming right towards your house.
That's
and so
actually very true.
every time I come into the neighborhood, I think that, I wonder if that guy's having bad luck or the house is having bad luck
Well,
because it's
it's
just so
actually a
obvious.
rush of energy, so you wonder if like he's, too overwhelmed or something. Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
it talks about all of that, like your community, everything. It's yeah, I bet you are so true.
Okay. All right. So we'll close this out and see everybody next Sunday morning at 11:30 with Brooke and myself talking about some ancient wisdom for health and happiness. And next week, a little feng shui and how to create a better environment for our homes and neighborhoods. All
Yeah.
right. We'll see you later.
Bye. Thank you.